Krishna. Now we're on the 34th verse of the 13th chapter, excuse me, and we're going to conclude, although there's so much here, but this is just an overview. So we're going to conclude with this verse, and here Krishna is explaining to us how the soul is perceivable within the body, and he gives us an example. So, yata prakashyatika kritsna loka imam ravi kshetram kshetri tata kritsnam prakashyati bharata. As the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Simple, brilliant. The sun illuminates the universe that we're in. You may call it solar system, whatever, but we're all agreed that light is there because of the presence of the sun. And we know that the sun, although it's 93 million miles from where we are right now, still it's so powerful that it lights up the entire universe. And everywhere that sunshine is there. This is the example. So how do we know that the sun exists? Because there's sunshine, because there's light. It's coming from somewhere. Similarly, now Krishna, who's been speaking about the importance of understanding the difference between the field and the knower of the field, we've talked about how the body is always changing, but we living entities stay the same. Now he points out how we can understand the existence and the presence of the soul. And he says that consciousness in this body is present everywhere. Like sunshine radiates throughout the universe, consciousness radiates throughout this body. I feel myself tapping on my head. Why? Because I'm conscious of my head. If I wasn't conscious, then I wouldn't feel it. I feel it in my arm. I feel it on my knee. It's everywhere. I'm conscious of hearing myself because I have hearing and the awareness of what it is that I'm hearing. Hearing is simply a process. It's a mechanical mechanism. For instance, I'm speaking into a microphone. That microphone is not conscious. Similarly, my ear is not conscious. But consciousness is present within my ear, and that consciousness is conveying what I'm hearing to the source of consciousness. So just like the sunshine means that there must be a source of sunshine, and that's the sun. Similarly, the source of consciousness, in which I'm conscious of what I'm seeing. And right now I'm seeing myself on this little screen. I'm conscious of what I'm seeing, but it isn't my eyes that are conscious. My eyes are just a vehicle, in the same way as this telephone is not conscious. What's the difference between the telephone and me? It is not conscious of what is going on the screen, but I'm conscious. And I'm conscious of what I see, I'm conscious of what I hear, I'm conscious of what I feel. Where does the consciousness come from? The natural conclusion of this example is that there must be a source of consciousness. And Krishna points out that that consciousness is who we are. The source of that consciousness is the soul. The soul is condensed consciousness, and it expands its consciousness throughout the body. The field of knowledge, the field through which I'm able to know. Consciousness, knowledge are very similar. The field of knowledge becomes my body. My limitation is this body. And if you remember, some time back, Krishna says, but I'm conscious of all bodies. So I'm conscious of this body, but I don't have awareness of what's going on in someone else's body. But the fact that consciousness pervades this body means logically, and this is the Jnana Yoga, this is the philosophical search for the absolute truth, I have to conclude that there's a source of consciousness. Now, consciousness is not something that you can put your finger on, but it is something that we're aware of, because the good thing is that I'm also conscious of the fact that I'm conscious. We're aware of consciousness, and scientists fail to explain what consciousness is. They would like it to be something that comes out of some either organic combination or chemical combination, but of course they've yet to make such an organic or chemical combination that is a walking, talking something, living entity that's conscious. So consciousness is not a material thing, therefore by no material combination is it going to be material, because it comes from the soul. And the soul is that thing which is not material. It is something that doesn't change. It is something that is the knower of itself and the knower of other things and aware of other things. Now this is knowledge. So understanding that presence of the soul within everybody is very easily understood through this example of the sun and the all-pervasiveness of consciousness in my body, in the body of a dog, in the body of an ant, in the body of so many other people and living entities that we know. They are all conscious. And so long as consciousness is there, the soul is there. And when the consciousness is not there, what do we say? When someone is passed away, then we say, he's gone. Who's gone? The body's there. Yes. The source of consciousness is gone. He no longer reacts. He no longer feels, no longer sees, no longer hears. Why? Because he's passed away. The body's there, all the chemicals are there, but the soul is gone. So this knowledge is the knowledge which unfortunately is not being taught. And it's not being taught, one, because people are ignorant, but number two, because it takes society in an entirely different direction. When you're not this body, then satisfying this body doesn't become the purpose of life, but rather realizing, self-realization becomes the purpose of life, and control of the senses and not being subject to the demands of the senses is part of what a knowledgeable person does, as we mentioned earlier. So, as the sun, in Krishna's words, illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. 13th chapter, we go on to the 14th chapter. A very, very interesting chapter.